I'm going to tell you about the future. Because you see, the future's not like Helvellyn. And I walked Striding Edge maybe 65 years ago. It's not like Helvellyn, a destination awaiting our arrival. It's much more like, and I love still, the good old LMS, London, Midland and Scottish Railway, which took me from Glasgow to Dumfries and Carlisle and Penrith on many occasions. It's something we have to imagine, design, plan and build. Something which you have to imagine, design, plan and build. And the future is one in which there's going to be an increasing number of older people. The number of people aged 80 will double in the next decade, and hopefully I'll be one of them. And what happens in life, and I'm now going to tell you the facts of life, the birds and the bees 2.0, the facts of life. And I'm going to speak to you for the next few minutes as though I was in a bridge club in Penrith or a church, a WI in Ullswater, or maybe a bowls club in Workington. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's only two phases of life. A phase of growth and development, then there's a turning point, and then it's downhill all the way. But don't get depressed, because the downhill travel is not solely due to aging. And Her Majesty was a wonderful example of the fact that aging by itself, the normal biological process, is not a cause of major problems until the late 90s. It does affect your maximum level of ability. It does affect your resilience, your ability to cope with challenges like a trip or a change in environmental temperature, but it is not a cause of major problems. Now, you need a bit of luck. You need luck to be born to the right parents. Not so much wealthy parents as parents who value education. And you need a bit of luck to avoid the diseases we can't prevent, like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. But, say, aging is not the cause of major problems. It does lead to lack of resilience, and we saw that in lockdown, where younger people react more quickly, they respond more quickly to challenges, whereas people who are 70, 80 plus, they respond more slowly and may not recover at all from a challenge like lockdown. But aging is only one of four processes that take place. The second is loss of fitness. And for many of us, the turning point is about the age of 22, when we get our first job, sitting. Because we now live in an environment where inactivity is normal. The car, the computer, the desk job, the sofa. This is not what we genetically evolved to live in. And there are multiple calories. Everywhere you look, there's little bags full of calories. We're not genetically determined. So what we see happening is an opening gap, a fitness gap. The good news is that fitness is something we can do something about. So fitness affects your maximum level of ability, and it affects your ability to respond to a challenge, like going up 3 flights of stairs or walking 2 miles. And you see here that because fitness affects the maximum level of ability and resilience, it's been confused with aging by the medical profession until very recently. And the good news is that at any age, we can narrow the fitness gap, physical and mental. So, the second process that affects us other than aging is disease. And disease increases the longer we live. And I've got about 3 long-term conditions due to the environment in which we live. Now, long-term conditions do affect your maximum level of ability. So when I had a myocardial infarction 11 years ago, my maximum ability decreased because I lost a chunk of heart muscle. But what we see all too often is that the fitness gap opens wider, faster, not because of the disease, but because of the well-intentioned actions of others. They don't like to see mums struggling to the shops, so they send in delivery. That's the wrong thing to do. And a combination of loss of fitness and aging may mean that you drop below what I call the line. The line. And that's the point at which you can't get to the toilet in time. And after that, it's social care. The good news is that at any age, no matter how many long-term conditions you've got, we can close the fitness gap. So, aging, lots of fitness, disease, and the fourth factor, these are social factors, environmental factors, deprivation, for example, but also ageism, negative thinking. And that's what we have to fight. So we need to move from this to this. We need to understand aging. We need to prevent and tackle disease. We need to regain fitness, physical, cognitive, and emotional. And we need to think positive and take action to solve people's problems if they're isolated, for example. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Bridge Club, of the Bowls Club, of the WI, what's the message? Well, every year you need to do a little bit more. Every diagnosis you need to do a little bit more, not less, more. Secondly, do even more for other people and strengthen your sense of purpose. And remember, the disease we fear most, dementia, we can reduce the risk of dementia. And here's our recent book on this subject. So keep your brain tissue healthy, sleep well, be physically active, keep the arteries healthy. And then what's very interesting new research, increase engagement, positivity, and purpose. And keep challenging your brain and your mind. We also know, in terms of purpose, it's purpose for other people that's very important. So why not support your local wildlife reserve, like the excellent Watch Tree Reserve? Become a volunteer or visit it. And if you can't visit it, make contact, raise money. These are things we can do to increase our sense of purpose. And that's very good for us, doing things for other people. Purpose. Purpose. And of course, that was one of Her Majesty's key features, the aspect of our life that helped her live long, well. So, if I now leave the Bridge Club, the Bowls Club, the WI, and come back to meet key people in health and social care in Cumbria, how do we do this? Well, it's not by reorganising the structure. I've had 20 reorganisations of the health service, most of which have made no difference at all. What we have is an integrated care system called Live Longer, Better. And here you can see the full list of objectives. And some of them are quite practical, like to increase physical ability. But others are much subtler, for example, to enable strengthening of purpose. How do we link older people, particularly housebound older people or people in care homes, with activities that they could sponsor and support? How could we link older people and younger people? And then that bottom one in the list is interesting, to enable dying well as living well. And again, Her Majesty gave us that excellent example. So, a system. The first outcome of the system is to increase health span and compress that period at the end of life when we're dependent on others. Increase health span rather than worrying too much about lifespan. And we do need to tackle the inequality there too. The second outcome is to make people feel better, physically, cognitively, emotionally. And that will help them function better now. It's actually a rejuvenation. People can get younger, can get as fit as they were 10 years previously. We now know we can prevent or delay dementia, disability, and frailty. Risk reduction. And we can reduce the need for health and social care in the short and long term. Because a person who has increased their ability can cope better with acute illness. And here is a picture showing two patterns of life in the last 3 years. The lower bar, shows someone who has kept themselves fit and well. They might have an admission or two to hospital, but they have a very small period of care required before death. The person who's less fit is a heavy user of the health service. They may be admitted and may be unable to be discharged, and this is a problem in hospitals in every part of England. Because remember, no matter how old you are, no matter how many long-term conditions you've got, you can close the fitness gap. Now, how will this be delivered? Well, this will be delivered by networks. This is the century of the system and the network. We need bureaucracies, we need markets and private companies involved, but it's the century of the system and the network. The bureaucracies are very important. For example, the fair and open employment of staff, or the procurement of X-ray machines. But this is the century of the network. Now, this is for you to decide locally. I know Cumberland a little bit. I've walked it and cycled it, and I've got friends in various parts. And it's a complicated geography with that Helvellyn in the middle. And I know that you're changing and developing, so it may be that there are two networks, but each of those networks may have networks within it. This is what networks look like. It's complex. But health and social care is the most complex business on earth. So you need to think of networks. It's not the hospital at the centre with hub and spoke. It's a set of networks. And that is for you to decide. And I know you've got shaping up what I see as two networks, each of which might have 8 networks within. Now, the job of the networks is to give leadership. And the distinguishing character of leadership is to create culture. Management works within culture. So we need a cultural revolution. We need a culture of enablement and coaching rather than a culture of care, where the word care means simply doing more things for people. And it's fairly clear how culture can be changed. Firstly, we need a new language. Let's stop using the word care and use the word enable. Let's call carers enablers. People will say, I've never heard of that word before. Well, maybe we just made it up. But sometimes new language is very effective. Language influences the way people think. It changes the way their brains work. And it creates the new culture. And that creates the new social reality. We've got a learning program for older people, and we would like to work with 1 or 2 primary care networks to deliver that to older people directly through GP information systems. We've got approval by NHS Digital on how to do that. Then we need to reach probably about 1,000 people in Cumbria, people in pharmacies and in housing, volunteers in Age UK, and help them think in a completely different way. And we need to get everyone 60 plus online. And that's a great thing for young people to do. So maybe schools could have a mission of helping everyone get online. And here's the learning program, and it's very similar to the objectives of the system. You can see here it's got the importance of not only improving strength, stamina, suppleness, and skill, but also purpose and planning, and thinking ahead in a positive way, and thinking about living well and dying well. We also need a new approach which recognises that self-care is the most important type of healthcare. Things you do for yourself. And we're also developing what we're calling buddy care, that people with a problem can learn a hell of a lot from other people with the same problem. And of course, digitally, that is now developing very quickly. But self-care and other care, buddy care, family, friends, and other people with the same condition. These are the ways in which we can support the NHS and support health centres. And part of that is the concept of an activity therapy service, where with every diagnosis, every treatment, we give people information about activity and its benefits, physical, cognitive, and emotional, and we also give them links to local opportunities through social prescribing and give them online resources. And just to show you what's missing, here's what's happened to me in Oxfordshire in the last 10 years. These are the leaflets I get every year from the NHS. I'm on it. I take a lot of pills and I'm very grateful for the pills. But here is the information I've had about exercise and activity in the last 10 years. These are the leaflets for 1 year, and here is the information I've had about activity. No, don't adjust your screens. That's not one word. The first 3 months were very good after my MI. I was in the gym and all that sort of thing. But after that, not a single thing. We have to change that. We need an activity therapy service. And again, we've got the software linked to GP information systems to deliver this. So, viva the revolution. And remember, people aged 60, 70, 80, and 90, it's up to us to play a leading part in that revolution. I wish you well in Cumbria and look forward to learning from you and sharing your good ideas and actions with others. Thank you very much.